Oh, hello. We are back and we are on episode 8. Now, today I am going to talk to you about how to give good instructions to your direct access barrister. So this comes from experience on how I like to receive my instructions now. Usually what happens is, because people do not realize they can come to a barrister directly, and they always think we are something that comes at the end of the chain. As soon as they realize that this is no longer the case and they can come to you now, what we find is we sometimes get the case in a very sort of unusual shape, for example. So people may just pass you a file when a case is right in the middle of its action, or when it's not making any sense. So how can you make your instructions precise for the barrister? Because that is one thing that puts some barristers off actually practicing as direct access barristers, because they don't like to receive instructions in a way which makes no sense. Now, I've trained as a solicitor, so luckily I've got the benefit of preparing a case, making sure the file of the case is organized in a very, very concise manner, so that when somebody picks it up, they will quite quickly get to what the facts of the case are, and then be able to also go to the key documentation. So how can you do that before you actually instruct somebody? The answer to that is very simple. If you're computer savvy and you're able to use Word, for example, create attachments, all these different things, the first starting point is have a chronology. I do a chronology for clients, a template chronology, and I normally send that out to clients, and I say to them, please fill this out. Please explain what has happened. And when I say chronology, I mean short chronology. I do not mean an essay of 20 pages. I just want to know from year 2005 up until 2020, let's say, for example, what happened with the key incidents. So in 2005, your discrimination started at work. The boss that did it was called X, and the words they used were Y. Then in 2008, after the grievance that you put in, they had nothing done to them, and as a consequence, you were dismissed. And as a result of that, something else happened. Are you with me? So basically, just the key facts. That is called chronology. So please chronologize, as in put into chronological format what has happened. The next thing what you need is to organize your paperwork before you pass this on to a barrister, a direct access barrister in particular. Just put everything in date order as well. Please, in date order, so important, because if you hand over documents, which I have received in all sorts of weird and wonderful formats, they make no sense. So for example, I have instructions where people have their own numbering system. They will call it 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, this, that, the other, or 1.1A, 1.2A, and it just says no. Simple 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Call page numbers as they should be. Finally, have an index. So for that bundle of documents which are important, have an index. So in your index, it will say chronology, 2 pages 1 to 2 in the bundle. Meeting with occupational therapist, pages 2 to 5. Dismissal letter, 2 pages long, pages 6 to 7. Application to the court, whatever it is, pages 8 to 10. Very, very simple. So create a bundle of documents which are very simple to follow, so that when the barrister reads your chronology, they can quite quickly go to the documents. And in the chronology, I always leave it a column to say page number, so it corresponds, so you can quickly go to those pages. I'm very thorough, so I will go through documents in any shape usually they're given to me, if it's for a conference originally. But if I were to take on the case and I'm to do more with the case later, I require a chronology, and I also like it to be in a certain format. And I always like the client to do this, because it's a waste of money getting me to do this, because it's no point paying me a legal fee to do an admin task, which is something you can do if you're able to do it. So that's a really, really important lesson to learn. So hand your instructions, I come back to the original point that I was making, over in a very clear way. Now, with those instructions, what I like to receive are a set of questions to which you want answers. And please do not worry, whatever you want to ask. I say to clients, do not worry. Nothing is a bad question. No question is a bad question, because sometimes, people just don't know. I'm not going to know everything about a particular area which I don't know anything about. And similarly, I cannot expect people to know everything about the legal world. So there are certain questions like, for example, you may have been dismissed or you may have been defamed, and somebody wants to know, oh, well, can you actually be defamed on social media? And the answer to that is yes. People don't know this because obviously we're living in a different society. So I'm just going by the different practice areas that I deal with. Always try and give your instructions in a very clear manner. The times when I've seen cases go wrong or get the wrong advice or not get the advice they deserve is when they come in this sort of obscure manner where the documents just do not make any sense. The final part of that is make sure you give all the documents that are relevant. I find a lot of people have a tendency of not providing their instructions clearly by way of not giving the relevant documents, because they sometimes feel that if we give this document, it's going to make us look bad, or we want our case to be strong, so we shouldn't have this, or they don't tell you about a crucial chunk of the case, which actually is really important. And then it's going to come out later because the other side will use it. So honesty is so important. Be very open, transparent, honest. I say all of this because that's how I like to work with my clients. If you're honest and transparent with me, I will be able to give you the advice you require. If you cannot give me the exact information that I require, then how am I supposed to advise? I come back to the point that giving instructions is a very precise exercise. And when I say giving instructions, I'm going to repeat. I mean, that is the process when you're hiring the lawyer, when you're passing the information to them. What is it that you need to give them? I'm saying all of this, but it all depends on what you've instructed the barrister to do. So for example, if I am instructed to do a conference with a client on the papers, which is a regular term used in our legal world, that will mean that I am instructed to simply read the papers and give them some sort of advice on the generality of the case and what's going on and what can be done, etc. If I'm instructed specifically to draft a document or assist in drafting, let's suppose, a witness statement based on the bundle provided by the person who's bringing the case, then that is a very specific instruction. So you will then need to give me everything which I require to draft your statement with you, to be able to refer to exhibits, which are the attachments within the statement. So in short, the bottom line is just be precise, just be concise. Instead of sending things to your barrister in an obscure manner, which actually wastes time going backwards and forwards and wastes legal costs as well, because you may have instructed them for a certain amount of hours, and those hours are used up in just this toing and froing. Your best thing is just to ask them and just say, how would you like to receive the document? I much prefer that question to me. And that's probably also because, I've trained in different disciplines. I like things to be organized and I like them to be in a certain way. And also because ultimately when you go to court, your documents will need to be in order. So always think of the long game, like how your document should be. That was episode 8. I hope you enjoyed that. I certainly enjoyed telling you about how to give good instruction. So I will see you now in episode 9, which is mental health, which is a really, really, really important part of bringing or defending a court case. Thank you. I will see you again